Welcome to your new journey of an entrepreneur, hosted by myself, Joyce Van Setters, and my friend Pete Moriello. With over 20 years of experience, we will be exploring this world of innovators, providing insights and advice to aspiring and current entrepreneurs. We'll share stories of success, failures, and all of the lessons we learned along the way. Get ready to break out of your comfort zone, but on the other side of this, you will be forever free. Welcome to the Forever Free Space podcast. I am your host, Joyce Van Setters.
I am Pete Moriello.
And together we created this space for aspiring and current entrepreneurs to get as much information as possible from thought leaders in their industry. We also want to mention that our thought leader newsletter is back. If you want to get that to your inbox every Saturday morning, just go to foreverfree.space and you can get that in your inbox every Saturday morning.
Hurry up and sign up.
So today we're excited because I've been getting a lot of emails about how cool our podcast looks. Mm-hmm. And, they want to know all the behind the scenes stuff. So we got some of that going on for you today. But we wanted to get our fabulous production producer on because he's the one that's going to tell you why our videos look so cool.
Yes.
So James.
It's all James.
Joyce, Pete.
James.
Thanks for having me, guys. I snuck out from the control room, and here I am at the table.
We hide James in the back.
Hi, everybody.
We lock him in the closet.
Right? So just to let you know, we are not gatekeeping this man. And he today, after we grill him and interview him, is going to tell you exactly why our videos look so good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, James,
yes, Joyce.
How did you get started in video production?
Okay. Do you want this story?
I want it.
All right. So
you told us, but it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, we
really
have one of those stories. Pull on your heartstring maybe a little bit. So before Wrecked Productions came into existence, I started out in live events. I have two businesses. I have obviously Wrecked Productions, and I have another company called This Is It Entertainment. And This Is It specializes in the private and corporate sector for entertainment and lighting. I've been doing it since I was in my 20s. And it's been a great business to be in. I've learned a lot of things about production and obviously customer service. I know you guys talked about that in some of your other episodes. So we're going through things, and to me, those type of events, and I hate to use this analogy, but I will anyway, are almost like garbage and death. Whether people can afford these events or not, they're happening, and It is a great industry to be in, right? Not only for the reward factor of what you're producing in the end product, but, it was stable at the time, stable business. And then COVID happened. COVID is the lightning strike to a lot of businesses. And I've seen it be, on two sides of the stick. Either COVID did great things for you or your business, if you were positioned in the right place, mm-hmm. or like a lot of people I think can assimilate with, maybe not so much. And to us, COVID was detrimental. It was the bane of my existence. The first couple of days we were like, oh, no big deal. And then no sight and end, we lost all of our receivables, all of our new sales. We have brick and mortar, so we have overhead. We have, obviously, my wife and I both do this full time. She's partners in both businesses, by the way. We have, don't worry about that. We have, a lot vested, a lot that we have to put out. So, we looked at each other a week or two into this and we said, hey, what are we going to do? Like, what are we doing? Our bills aren't getting paid here and there's no end in sight. So, Kelly had concepted the idea of Wrecked. We knew we wanted to be in the digital media space already. We already knew that, but we were so busy with our offsite work that we kind of pushed it to the back burner and said, hey, look, we'll get to it when we get to it. We'll get to it when we get to it. And we looked at each other one day, and while all other businesses or a lot of businesses in our industry were folding, we said, you know what? We're going to step out on a limb. We're going to take all of our savings. We're going to flush out Wrecked. We're going to get in this digital media space because digital media space isn't going to go anywhere. Mm-hmm. And even in this climate, if we can offer somebody the opportunity to be able to still get out their content, but in a safe space, maybe we have a chance to survive this. So we sat down, we came up with the business model, the plan. We started doing all of our research on gear and what we needed to do that. We got in touch with our property manager. We were here already in this complex, but our footprint wasn't big enough to accommodate this. So we started out to see if it was viable by saying, hey, look, we're going to launch this, I don't know how to campaign, and we're going to name it the Community Series. And what the Community Series did is we went out, we offered local artists the opportunity to perform in our space with all the lighting and everything and all the audio, and be able to stream that out to people so that way they can still be relevant in this COVID space right now, right? Because those performing artists didn't have any place to perform anymore.
True.
So we used that as our tester, and then we saw that there was indeed a market for it, right? So we contacted our property owner, like I had said to you before, said, hey, look, do you have any bigger spaces in the complex? They said yes. This was an older space that somebody had been here for a long duration of time. So we retrofitted the space, and we did a really interesting thing. We split the time between our old space and this space, and in order for both businesses to continue to operate in that time, we moved into portions of each other's office space at staggered times. So we moved from the front of our space, all of our stuff into the rear of our space, and then they moved their stuff into our space, and then we moved our space into the front of this space, and they cleared out the back of this space. And when they did that and they moved over, then we started the construction process, and we built out the soundstage in the back, which is something that your viewers never really get to see, a whole nother element of this business. But let me pump the brakes, because I'm like, and I'll give you guys the opportunity, to throw out. Hey man, podcasts, I've done these once or twice.
And you got the great voice,
Thank
by
you.
the way.
Thank
How did
you.
you come up with the name Wrecked?
It's a really funny story. So the way we came up with the name Wrecked, and this is really funny, is I actually approached 3 other people to partner with me in this business. And each one has a last name. It was RECD. We're the 3 people, me being the E, and the R, C, and D was the original. All 3 of those people turned me down. So, I didn't fold, and I said, you know what, I'm going to do it, and maybe I can stick it to them a little bit, with some success down the road, But I covered all elements of what I needed in this business. I needed, lighting, video, photography, audio. So that's what I did. And when they turned it away, I just pursued it anyway at that point.
And did you add the W for a win?
Yeah, we did. We wanted to play on it. We wanted something that was catchy, a play on the spelling. It's been a blessing and a curse, because we do spell it different. It's WRECKD, like you got wrecked, but without the E.
I like it.
But that gets a little trying in the Google search realm, when I tell it to people. But it's been great, it's something different.
That's awesome.
Yeah, wrecked your face. We got you here.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. And I don't think it gets lost. And maybe it's just my search engine, but if I just go to put in the word wrecked, you're like second.
Yeah. We've done a lot of work to get to that point. So that was 2020, it's 2024 now. So obviously we've been here for about 4 years. We've been really fortunate in the dealings that we've had here and some of the people that have come through this building. And, we've had great clients that came back with our customer service and what we offer here and have done a lot of really great reviews for us, which has helped push us up that list, of when you're looking for studios in this space.
I mean, this place is fantastic.
It is,
it's crazy
We'll
here.
talk about how we found it, too.
I remember Pete came in.
I found it.
I actually sent it to you, you fool.
Yeah,
Check
yeah,
your
you
phone.
You did do FaceTime here. I remember
you.
the whole
I don't
ordeal.
think so.
All right,
Yeah.
He gave me that task, that job, and now he's trying to take it from me.
Yeah.
He told me, this is what you're doing.
And he randomly walked in, and we thought he was like a cop.
He gives cop vibe.
He does
He
give
gives
cop
undercover.
vibe.
You give
Wow.
undercover.
That's messed
They
up.
made you, Pete.
That's
They made
messed
you.
up.
We did, but that's the first thing I asked him.
They made
That's
you.
messed up.
They made you. Let's talk about your services here.
Yeah.
What all that you provide?
Yeah, absolutely. So we offer a turnkey solution to a lot of clients. We have this front studio space here, which you guys do your podcast in, and we're great to have you guys here with us on a regular basis. And, what we do here is, we can be as hands-off or hands-on as you want. We have 3 different experiences in this studio space here alone. We have this round table that we're sitting at today. We have a green screen section off to my right there with a table setting. And then we have like the lounge area over there, which I know is new and decorated for that. So we can offer 3 different areas if this isn't really a fit for you. Essentially, we take the laborious part away so that you can walk in, create your content, and walk out with something finished at the end, right? So we do all of the audio solutions, all of the video solutions for you. You have people like myself as a technical director here, watching over everything, making sure that everything is going as planned throughout the course of the recording, because there's nothing worse than doing a recording and then finding out at the end that something wasn't right.
Right.
So, we do a lot of that work here. We also do vocal work in here. So, like, we talked about this before. If you guys caught Mike the Situation or Mike Sorrentino's new book, his audio book we did here. So we do vocal work as well.
Yeah.
We're in the database for Paramount and Warner for that type of stuff, which is helpful. And that's just this little area. And this is the smallest area of the space. And then if you go to the rear studio, we have a black box soundstage studio. And we do a variable of film work and music videos. So people essentially hire us to do the performance scenes for their music videos or their film projects. And that space is just over 3,000 square feet, unobstructed, black space. And then we have all of the stage lighting and audio support for that. So essentially it allows artists to come in here in a controlled setting where they can't maybe do this out on stage or on tour, where that videographer can really get into each instrument or whatever, and they shoot their performance scenes here. And it's afforded us the opportunity to work with various celebrities, and it's been one heck of an experience, to be honest with you.
So cool.
So I mean, that's the primary base of it. We can record audio in the back. We can do live streaming here. We obviously do green screen work. So, I mean, it's like, I like to refer to it as like the Swiss Army knife of digital media,
I like that.
essentially.
Yeah,
That's cool.
We could do everything here.
Yeah. We'll talk about, I went to, I was looking at a bunch of spaces for us when Pete and I were starting our podcast, and I just, because of our locations and travel, I was Googling them, and then I would send them to him. And I think we narrowed it down from 10 to just 2, because I was
2 or 3.
Yeah, I think Pete. He was like, don't send me on some chase like all day. Like I am working. Where he's going in and out of places. So we narrowed it down to you, and I don't remember the other 2. But I think the reason what caught my eye with yours was the visual on the website, the visual of the Black Box Studio. I don't think I even saw this space yet until you FaceTimed me when you got here.
Yeah.
So I'll let Pete talk about what he saw in real time, because I only saw online. But I liked what I saw online.
And it's changed a lot since you first came, right,
Yeah.
Pete? Like,
No,
everything.
you guys did a lot here. I mean, you changed it a lot.
The cleanliness is amazing
Thank you.
as well.
That's
Yeah.
kind
So
of important.
when I pulled up, I was like, I like it because it's like a little private. It's not like, and that's the first thing I told you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when we came in, the space was pretty cool, but I liked the decor. So once I saw the decor, I was like, yeah, I'm kind of sold already. I think it would be just a good vibe. And then meeting with James was super cool with us, like usual. And I just said, Joy, this is it. I think we should rock with it.
Yeah, and he FaceTimed me, and I was just like, that doesn't even give the website justice.
No,
Yeah.
the website is hard to keep current all the time because it's very video based, and like we constantly have to do redo reels, and our issue with it is for ourselves. Like I think any business owner is, sometimes you tend to neglect yourself.
Yeah.
So we're so busy doing everybody else's content that we don't come back around enough to update that content. So if you want to see a good working portfolio of what we have here, we always push you to our social channels, like our Insta. Our Insta is probably the most fresh content that you can see of what's happening.
What's your favorite kind of podcast to produce?
So, I mean,
Besides ours.
I love doing your guys' show. It's full of really good information. I have another client that's kind of similar to yours. They've been with us since 2020. Ironically, he happens to be a friend of mine from high school. He is an insurance professional, but he's really phenomenal at networking, and he has a really good network of people. And similar to kind of like the wheelhouse that you're in, Pete, he's got, title companies and all of these other companies that he works with that he likes to bring through the door. So with him, he brings in lawyers and all these other folks. And for me, sitting in the control room, right, like I get to absorb all of this information, but for free.
Yeah.
What would normally be $500 an hour
Right.
or $1,000 an hour, which is really helpful if my brain can remember all of those things. But,
Right.
I have a lot of fun with that. Yeah, exactly. And ironically, he's, cousins with Beth. Yeah.
He
Oh,
just followed
that's
us
right.
on
Yeah,
Instagram.
that you guys have talked about on a
Yeah.
previous episode, who was here, which is amazing what her portfolio is. You know, she was really in the network
Yeah,
at that
she's
point.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to meet more people like her.
Me too.
So I like doing that. Obviously, Joyce, for sure. I have my own show with a co-host, PJ. It's called Essential Guy Talk. Not to plug my own show
Plug
here.
it. I love that show.
We have a lot of fun. We talk about all different things. It doesn't necessarily have to be just guy stuff, but it's, drinks, food. We like to feature also, like you, local businesses and businesses that are doing something great, because I want to see everybody succeed together.
Yeah.
It's not about competition
It's
for
about
me.
winning.
So I do enjoy that a lot. And we also have a crypto podcast that comes here, and I know nothing about that, and it doesn't help me at
I don't
all.
either.
But the more fun it is, the more enjoyable it is behind the scenes for
Yeah.
us to really participate and produce it.
And how about when someone wants to come in and shoot a music video?
Yeah.
How does that go? Are you the producer on that?
So it depends on the project,
Okay.
and we're really open format with that. So sometimes folks just hire us for the space, and we just sit back.
Got it.
Then,
So you could just rent the space out.
correct.
Oh, I didn't know
and
that.
you could do
Okay.
it. Doesn't
Do your
just
own,
have
then
to
you can
be-
do your own thing.
Yeah, you do your
Oh,
own
okay.
thing. Essentially, we still oversee everything. So we
Right.
have a key gaffer or chief lighting technician, which is Chris in the back. You guys have met him, and myself. We want to make sure that anything that's getting rigged or anything like that is safe. Obviously, it's a huge liability, and obviously, we want to make sure nobody's doing anything
Right. They
stupid.
don't burn the joint down.
Exactly. So we can just sit back and do nothing. We do it as a rehearsal space. So literally, bands come in, they just rehearse, and then they leave, and we don't do anything with that. Then level up a little bit. You can have us do the space and the lighting, which is the most common thing. That's what people come here for, is the lighting. That's what really makes us unique, where you don't have to bring in a third-party vendor. It's already here, and then we custom build out your light show for you for each project. So there's that element. And then we have Neil, which you've met, who's responsible for doing, the edits and stuff like that. He does a lot of BTS stuff, and that's how we're able to bolster our portfolio, because otherwise, how would you guys get to consume what we're doing here if we didn't shoot some BTS stuff?
Exactly.
Right.
And you were talking about this before, and you have Nick over here shooting BTS now, and you guys understand the relevance of how important it really is. Like Pete, you had said in a previous issue, episode, excuse me.
Magazine.
People always see the final product.
Yeah.
I was always, guilty of doing that. I'm always showing everybody our best side.
Yeah, yeah.
And never
Best of the
thinking
best.
about how much the BTS is way more attractive than that final piece. That final piece can only be 2 seconds of the equation,
Yeah.
and 98% of it should be the BTS at that point.
Like 5 hours of work, and then you're only putting out like
Exactly.
Right.
30-second clips.
I'm still the
Yeah.
biggest culprit of it now. There's so
Yeah.
much BTS stuff that happens in the rear studio that we never really put out in front of everybody. People don't understand what goes into it, and not
That
to get
sounds like a
sidetracked from your
wedding.
topic. Yeah.
What?
5 hours of work and then
Yeah.
30 minutes.
That's how it always
What
is.
did I just tell you before, right? This is why this was a perfect
Yeah.
fit for us, because it was, the same beast, just a different dressing.
Yeah.
It's
you know?
always like that. Like with me and my social media, I'll put like, oh, just sold. I sold this house or whatever. But I'm not showing you
How
like
did I get there?
the 8 weeks of what we're doing, or like the 2 weeks it was like arguing or trying to figure something out, or it was gonna die, it was gonna go back in the market. But I'm just putting, oh, just sold.
Might be
Yeah.
interesting, Pete.
You're right. It
The
could,
2
it
weeks
could
of
be.
this is not the one, or unrealistic
Yeah, yeah.
expectations for their budget,
Yeah.
and
Right.
oh, I don't
Or
like this
like-
because of the cabinets, or
like
whatever.
bodybuilding. You're just showing like, you
The finished product.
sliced up on a stage holding a trophy,
Right. What did I
but
do
you
to
didn't
get
show like the 16 weeks of hell that you went through just to get
Exactly.
there. So
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
not pretty.
Yeah, and then to further elaborate on your question, and then you can raise it up. So you can have your own DP come in and do all of their work and do all the filming, which we have a lot of really great relationships with directors. They bring clients to us because of what we do here. And then you can hire us to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
And we'll film it, we'll do the post work and edit for you, the color grading, all of that. So like when I said Swiss Army knife, I meant it. I want to leave the doors open to say, hey, look, anybody can come do their business here. We're open to the public. You don't just have to be Warner Brothers or Paramount. Like anybody can come in here if you're just starting out, or if you're Leonard Skinner, literally, or you can have us do everything, or you can have us do nothing. I want to be able to get as much business as I possibly can.
What are some things you're looking to add on to Rect?
So,
anything?
yeah, that's a really great question. So, obviously I want to bolster the business so that we can be busier. We have room to be busier. As any entrepreneur will ever tell you, we always want more money. We're almost greedy in a sense. It's not so much money, but it's like more business, more opportunity for success, more opportunity for financial freedom, more opportunity to hire more people and
create more jobs.
Exactly. Get money in their pockets as well, and they're doing something creative. For us, I think goals. You talked about goals in a previous podcast. I would love to be able to increase my foot space. I think we're a little restricted here in the sense of what our footprint is now. And
You can build out more?
Not here.
Or you would just take over another...
We would need, in a perfect world scenario, Pete, from a real estate perspective, I'd love to be able to make enough money to buy my own commercial building,
warehouse,
and then be able to stand alone, and then be able to subsidize some of my mortgage with some renters that are maybe like in business, or that we can advocate each other's business or something like that.
You can't hold concerts back there.
We can.
Oh, you can.
But we can do, well, that's essentially what these are. We can do small audience.
Right.
So
like
intimate,
private listening,
like tiny desk concert.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite, man.
Yeah, 30 to 50 people in the back, aside from talent.
That would be super.
Drinks.
That would be super cool.
Yeah, it's totally doable. We did like a live magician here for a film. It was actually a film project, but they brought in 30 people. We set up everything for that. I did my wife's 40th birthday party here.
I like
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we did a giant table in the studio.
That's pretty cool.
Then to fit everybody. It fit everybody.
Yeah,
like almost
that's
like
cool.
the movie The Jerk. Can you pass
Yes.
the salt, please? And he throws it across this huge table, and then we dressed it all up with production lighting and put all of these gobos, and it was a really cool
awesome,
experience. Yeah, we had it catered and then just served everybody.
That's
Nice.
that's great.
Yeah.
That's a great addition.
Yeah, so we don't just do that stuff. We can do anything.
Right.
But yeah, I'd like to be bigger, especially with Netflix coming. They're knocking on our door, essentially. They're 4.5 miles from here, 300-acre campus. Those studios are going to be built. If you guys know anything about the movie industry, essentially when they shoot movies, those sets or TV shows, they're delegated to that studio for a duration of time.
Yeah.
6 months, a year, 2 years, and that's how they're dressed. So from our perspective, being on the back door of that, a lot of big studios do spillover work to smaller studios when they need niche things. So I want to be able to be
You can use that space.
positioned
You can
for
use that space back there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be
it
great.
brings all the executives into the area. It brings all the celebrities into the area. I think it increased the value of digital media or media itself in this area.
Yeah.
I don't
That'd
know
be
if that
super
really
cool.
answers your question 100%.
Yeah, it does.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else
I
are you?
can't believe you come up with these. You didn't even we didn't plan for this, by the way. So
No,
Nah, we
just-
did it.
you have these questions.
Yeah, but we talk all
off
the time,
cuff.
so we kind of know
you know
your
what
story
it is,
a little
though?
bit.
It's like for me, people are very easy to interview because if you ask one question, they usually give you
breeds another one.
stuff to ask another one, and then you just go down that path.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk to you again because I'm telling you, I get emails all the time, or even just messages saying, how does your videos look that good? Or I'm interested in starting a podcast. How did you get started? And where are you filming? And I'm like, I'm not gatekeeping. It's just a bunch of different questions. So,
I mean, I appreciate that, and I know that you don't come from close by. I know that you tandem up your sessions here with some other things that you have going on, but Joyce is like 400 miles from here.
yeah. So
It's
I'll tell you,
close
it's
to
worth
that,
it.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, to give a testament to what
Yeah,
we do
yeah.
here. And I know you're not that local either. I mean,
Exactly.
No,
you're
I'm a
not-
good 40 minutes,
Yeah.
maybe a little less, maybe
so you
like
travel
35-ish.
here.
Yeah.
And the reason is because you guys can come in, you can do what you need to do. You don't have to worry about anything, right?
No,
you don't have to
just-
worry about the quality.
Everything's
of
ready
it.
to go.
You're done.
Yeah.
That's it.
We know we're getting top notch with our podcast, and we know what we're dealing with when we're dealing with you, Chris, and Neil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very
Kelly.
neurotic about this stuff. I'm a perfectionist. Like, I come from the private event field, and in that field, there's no do-overs.
Yeah.
That has to be perfection time one, not time two. You don't get time two. And, sure, we've had our bumps in the road here and there with production. That happens in production anywhere.
Happens in any business.
That's the key thing, too. And, I'm so thankful for my live events experience because on the fly, when you're out on site somewhere, something goes wrong, you have to come up with a fix. to come up with that fix immediately. Like
Yeah.
you, or we said, are known as the fixer, right? So you can relate to this.
Yeah.
I can
You gotta
totally
fix
assimilate.
it on the fly.
The client doesn't care.
Right.
They don't care what the problem is. They
got to be
care.
quick on your feet, quick thinking. You got to get
That's
it done.
it.
Yeah.
Things go wrong, man. The key is to
Yeah.
be able to make it not noticeable, keep a smile on everybody's face.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's part of the customer service that we offer here that draws people back in, aside from like the coolness of the studio.
Yeah.
So we generally care about what you're doing here. Like
And
we
that's the key, genuinely caring.
Yeah.
As far as your customer service, speaking to that, how did you build such a good team?
So Chris has been with me on lighting for almost 9 years now, in the private side. So Chris is like jack of all trades. He's an electrician. He did some construction. He knows a lot about lighting, and we lean on him heavily here. He is a big piece of the equation to produce what we make
we love
happen.
Chris.
And he's a funny dude,
Yeah.
for sure.
Very funny.
Neil, we're fortunate. You don't find a lot of Neils. And Neil, I'm going to give you a shout out on this. I know you're going to look at this and post and edit it, but Neil's a young kid.
Yeah.
He's in his mid to late 20s. I don't want to give away his age, but he's young. And in today's generation, you don't find people with the work ethic of Neil. And we've gone through quite a few editors to get to Neil. And Neil came in, and to be quite honest with you, Neil went to film school. He had very surface level experience in this industry. He was doing photos for like a travel photo company that does like school pictures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he came in here and he was so advantageous, so kind. He just nailed his interview, and at the end of his interview he's like, I can start right now. Like I can jump behind the computer and start doing some stuff right now.
He's ready to go.
Yeah. And he's great, man. He's here for it. He shows up early, on time, stays late, comes to do whatever he needs to do. We have late rentals. He comes out, he doubles over on the This Is It side and goes out and films that stuff.
That's hard to find.
Yeah. It's impossible to find in a what would that be, a Gen Z?
Yeah, in a Gen Z.
With
impossible.
typically don't have a lot of accountability for their actions.
Right.
No
Yeah.
offense, Nick. I know you're a pretty young
Right.
kid over there. But they're like, hey, I need a mental recovery day today, so I can't come to work, or whatever that is, So
I wish I had a
mental health
recovery
yeah.
day. Yeah.
So there's that with that. I mean, we've had people that haven't made the cut, man. Like you talked about marketing. We hired 2 people specifically just to do marketing, 2 different elements of it. One to be analytic and blog, and one to be social. And no, they didn't. They want $1 bazillion.
Yeah.
And the results weren't there. And, in the digital media field, I understand results sometimes are hard to evaluate, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't see immediate return on
Right.
your investment. So it's like, hey, I'm putting out this money to do podcasts, but I don't see anything. I don't see any conversion from
Right.
it. But it takes such a long time. It's a touch, right? It's a touch. And it used to be 7 touches and maybe 9 touches by now, but it's a touch. And they just weren't able to deliver. I don't care. Listen, yes, I want to have 50,000 Instagram followers and I want to be able to monetize my content. That's, I think, everybody's goal in the digital media field, right?
Yeah.
But I want to.
Customers are more important.
Right.
than
I
followers.
care about converting those people that are looking at our Instagram stuff to sales.
Yeah, because followers don't buy.
No. And it doesn't do me any good if you're in Kyrgyzstan or California.
Right. No, you got to be in the area, man.
No, yeah, that doesn't do me any good.
No.
You
You're trying to get everyone within the vicinity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
people look silly. They have 100,000 followers or 200,000 followers on Instagram, and they have 14 likes on their posts.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you're paying
What
for
happened?
Yeah.
That actually hurts you more than it advocates you.
Yeah.
Instagram sees that stuff.
Yeah.
They start throttling your content. Now, I'm not a social media guru, but I'll tell you that for a fact. Like, you're not pulling the wool over anybody's eyes here on
Right.
that. Be realistic about the content you're making.
Yeah, well,
Make good
Mosseri
content.
he just posted something. The guy who runs Instagram, he just posted something about that. So,
Yeah.
Oh, he did what he said.
Adam Mosseri, he said exactly what he said. They're changing the algorithm.
So
in
if you
June.
bought followers, you're screwed.
You're not going to get your content pushed out.
No.
And if you take something like, when you post a meme and I take it and post it on mine, if I don't change it up, if I just repost yours, it's going to tag you, not me.
Correct.
The original owner.
TikTok is really,
So
really
I'm
big
gonna
about
look like
this.
an idiot when I post
So,
it because
on-
you're going to get tagged.
On TikTok, if you guys were both to post the same content, but under different profiles,
Yeah.
they will 1,000% throttle your content. Okay, you cannot if you're posting a video and you don't like that video and you delete it and repost it, they're going to throttle your content because they're saying that you're not putting out original content again. You know, it's really hard to figure out this algorithm, and it constantly
you should follow
changes.
Adam Mosseri, by the way.
I will.
Yeah.
And on a side note too, I want to say this and about the return on your investment, just to tie myself in on that, and you guys get this, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, you have a business, you want to do a couple of things, right? You want to increase your clientele, which is a given. You want to be able to establish yourself as an expert in your field, right? Given. And here's another great thing about digital media is it shows your personality, and people buy personality before they buy product.
Absolutely.
True.
And otherwise, as a business person in today's market, 2024, how are you advertising your business? Because everything is direct to client, right? So you can put out 10,000 in Pete We Trust billboard along the turnpike, and you're going to spend $1 billion on that, you know, and maybe you'll turn over a client or two. Well, what are you doing? You're not taking out an ad in the newspaper anymore. You're not doing a print campaign. You know, people aren't consuming that media.
Right.
You're not. You have to evolve to shift to what people are doing now.
Right.
Yep.
So whether you're on board with it or not, and you can go this with Nick over here too, because he's a young man. You know, the only way to directly reach your client base anymore is in a social media world.
Yeah, you have to evolve with the space. I think for business owners, sometimes they don't want to do that.
No.
They want to get stuck in this certain whatever was working 8 years ago, 10 years ago. They're still stuck there. But if you're not
This is free.
if you're not moving with it, you're gonna fail.
It's free. I mean, it's nominal, right? In the sense of, all right, you guys, anybody can say, oh, well, I want to launch a podcast from my house. You know, you got to go out, you got to buy a microphone, you got to get a good microphone, you got to learn how to use that microphone, then you got to record it, then you got to get a camera, then you got to understand how to do the camera, then you got to learn the post work, right? Because everything is in the clips from there, not just the full lengths. And it's like,
I feel
how
like
much do you
that's
wanna
going to be
invest?
so time consuming for you that it may not, you might either get discouraged after a while because you're like, wow, I'm spending so much time doing the editing, the this, the that, this is just really what I want to do. Some people think it's just going to click on the microphone and be like, I have a podcast and keep it moving, but it's not like that.
Yeah, bro,
It's a
stay
lot
in
of
your
behind the
lane.
scenes work.
Yeah. Right.
Be awesome at what you're awesome at.
Yeah.
You know, like you concentrate on being awesome at what you're awesome at and let somebody else that's awesome at that part take care of that.
Right.
You know, that's the greatest motto ever. That's what Aaron has. He started another show called Who You Work With Matters. Who you work with matters.
That's
It
true.
makes perfect sense. You know, like align yourself with the right people around you to help advocate what you're doing.
Yeah, it's true.
So, you know, in that respect, you know, I think that digital media is kind of, why spend your time doing all that? For what?
I just don't have the bandwidth.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I can't.
That's
I
it's
wouldn't even
it's time
learn.
consuming.
It's
I have no
you know, and you have
interest.
very high standards of what you want to be done, and
I
that's not a
do.
slam at you. That's your
No.
personality, right? You're type A, and you want things to be. You expect them to look a certain way. You expect it to sound a certain way.
Right.
It's a direct representation of your brand as Joyce, the fitness professional, or as Pete Moriello and Pete We Trust. Like that's direct line of who you are, you know. And if you can't establish that or represent yourself in the right way, you're doing yourself a large disjustice at that point.
Yeah, I agree.
That probably just answered my next question,
Ask.
but I think you got something. I think you probably could give me something else. You've told us a lot about what you do here and,
Yeah.
and what you offer, and the type of person you are and your group. But if someone were to ask, why should I shoot my podcast here? What would be like your?
That's
your
a great question. You know, that's really tough. I think we face that pretty often.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, because you know you feel like you can jump out, get a USB microphone, and just do from your webcam. And I think that ties back to what I said before. You know, we have such a high level of expectation on our end of what our product should look like from our brand. When you sit down at a table here, whether it's in this front room or you're in the back studio, like we care because we want our brand to look good too. Your business is going to advocate our business,
And
right? Because
that's
you're gonna
why
talk
you
about
should
it.
shoot your podcast here. I'm telling you, because I'm going to tell you what to say, because this is why we're here. It's one, because it looks very professional. Two, because you care, like you really care, and that's what we wanted. We wanted this podcast to look very professional. You care, and the turnaround time is impeccable, and you do listen to what we want.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's exactly why you should shoot your podcast here.
I thank you for answering. I think you nailed it, Pete.
My
You know
number
what I'm
one
saying?
reason is I wanted it to look good, but I didn't want to have to be involved in doing
Yeah.
much.
Most
that
like
to
most
happen.
people.
Because you know how to edit a lot.
Yeah, I've edited a lot, but
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
That's not something I want to do.
And we don't do a ton of your post work anymore, and that's, you know, we're not like super butthurt about that. You know, we do the full edits or the switches. Typically, I'm in the back switching live to add some stuff to it. But like, you know, like why plug yourself in sometimes? You know, like it's just easier to have us take care of it for you. And if you don't like it or there's something wrong, you know, communicate that to us, and we'll be glad to fix it. You know, it happens with everybody. We're not inside your brains. So,
yeah, if you want to be successful, you have to delegate work sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you're touching on. You know, you have to delegate the work and you have to trust the process.
yeah, and it's hard, you know, especially as an owner for myself. Like, you know, there's that fine line between entrepreneurship and business ownership, right? And I still sit in that entrepreneurship role where I'm still very much involved in the business itself, and it's hard for me to detract myself from that a little bit.
Yeah.
Not because I don't trust everybody. That's not the case. You know, I have Neil running shows now. It's just it's what I do. It's my value.
Yeah.
So if I'm not doing it and I'm just sitting back like the you know, the proverbial wasp that's out, you know, sitting in their backyard while everybody's at work, like
Right. It's
not gonna
it
work.
doesn't sit right with me. That's not who I
doesn't
am.
work.
You know, I want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Why
it's
are you
rewarding.
so passionate about this?
I don't know.
I do know.
I don't.
That's,
you
a,
know,
good, that's,
I-
a, that's a good question.
it's, you know, maybe it's subsequent of what I told you about the live events industry, right? There's a reward value to what's happening. I'm taking things in pieces and I'm putting it together as a whole. And it's almost like being a kid building Legos, right? You know, like there's that gratification in seeing things in peace. And it comes out to be something so different. It's like, you know, the what is it? The caterpillar into the moth. You know, it's like you see this crude
Butterfly.
thing at first, and then it turns into, a butterfly. I'm sorry, not a
Yeah.
moth. Stay away from the light. It turns into this beautiful butterfly at the end. And to see people's reactions to it, like,
That's what I was looking for.
yeah, you know,
Yeah.
I see it here in the studio when people leave and they're only getting a piece of it, right? So, like, I know that podcast itself may not be all that awe-inspiring visually and like, oh, wow. But, like, you go in the back and we do all this insane light shows and stuff that's happened, and people leave here and like, man, this place is awesome. You know, like, you got a really good thing happening over here. But, you know, like, I don't always get to see this stuff until it gets completely produced and released. And then you go out and, like I said, you know, we've had some celebrities come through here, and I come out and I see the final product go out on YouTube, and I see the thousands of comments. And, you know, granted, maybe we just got a line in there that said, you know, lighting, location, Wrecked Productions, you know, in the bio, you know, like nothing major. But you see thousands and thousands and thousands on these 1.5 million, 3 million, 5 million viewed videos. And they're like, oh, music is great. Yo, the video's sick. You know, it looks sick. And, you know, like, I'm just this little
I've seen
guy
that,
from
yeah.
Ocean Township, you know, and I'm out here doing like things with like celebrities. To see that come together at the end is like, maybe I'm a glutton for that part of it, you know, like the payoff.
Does it make you
That's
feel
why you're
good,
so
like
passionate
if
about
like a video or like a podcast on YouTube gets like 100,000 views, like that must make you feel good, right? It's
Yeah.
filmed at your place, your
Yeah.
location.
There's so many things out there that you don't even know that we're here, and you're like, you know, and, you know, sometimes we can't bolster stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because in that wheelhouse, sometimes we have to be, you know, NDA, we can't disclose
Yeah, of
it,
course.
and you know, even still, then I still get that gratification of knowing that it was done
Filmed
here, like
here,
we
yeah.
did that, and
Yeah.
you know, I didn't go to school for this. You know, I'll step out on a limb and say that. You know, people go to Full Sail and all these other, you know, technical schools. Like, you know, similar to what you said before, you know, like, I'm a self-made professional. I took the time to learn this on my own. Trial and error. I've been through trials and tribulations to get to this point. And I liked what you said in a previous episode about, you know, the stomach ache and the ice cream afterwards. You know, people, if you don't know about bad times, then you said you can't be an entrepreneur. And I think
Yeah.
you said that, right, Joyce? And I'm going to be honest with everybody out there. 90% of entrepreneurship is terrible. And 10%, I mean, that could be a little bit bolstered. That's how I feel sometimes. And 10% is amazing.
Yeah.
Right? And it feels great when the amazing stuff comes. It's great. So to see the product at the end, knowing the suffering that I may have done to get to that point, again, ties back to
That's
why
you're
I
so
do
passionate.
this.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was
So.
looking for. All right, James, you know the drill. You're always behind the scenes, so
Yes.
you know what we do at the end.
Okay.
We want a gem, an
For somebody
entrepreneurial gem
else.
for the next person.
Oh, man. I would say, stay out of the comfort zone a little bit. When it comes to being an entrepreneur, you want to launch a business or you're part of your own business or you're just starting out as a business owner. I think there's a lot of risk that comes along with this, right? And there's so much risk, and there's that, oh, should I really do this? Oh, well, I don't know if I can spend the money on this. I don't know if I should really do this. It'd be a lot safer for me just to get a salary job somewhere. But you know what? Take the risk. Jump off cliffs. If I didn't jump off cliffs both times in my life for both businesses, I wouldn't be sitting here today talking to you guys. So jump off cliffs is probably my best piece of advice for people just getting into business.
Nice.
Jump off
I love
cliffs.
it. I love it.
Right?
Yeah.
James,
Yeah.
thank you so much for
Thank you
sitting
for
down with
having me.
us. I know this was random.
That's okay.
And
I
I
loved
like it because you came back with as much as we gave.
Good.
So that's awesome. We're going to let everybody know we're still on Apple, on Spotify, and on YouTube. And if this is something that resonates with you, join our community because we promise the best is yet to come.
Yes.